right, today I'm talking 3 myths about mental blocks that every parent should know. If you don't know me, I'm Coach Anna. I'm a mental performance coach who's worked with hundreds of gymnasts with mental blocks and helped them through those blocks. I learned quite a few things along the way, and there are some myths that I want to bust today that are not serving you or your gymnast. If you're here, it's likely that you have a gymnast who was performing her skills beautifully. Maybe last season she competed them. Over the summer, she learned them and has been doing them over and over again. And then one day you started to notice that she was stopping on the skill, freezing up, not going for it, and everybody is confused. Let's face it, mental blocks are so confusing, but even more so is the lack of knowledge about what mental blocks are, which can make it even harder to understand what to do for your gymnast. Let's talk about what exactly a mental block is. A mental block is when your gymnast's brain stops her from going for the skill. Her brain actually gets in there and stops her body from going. It freezes her up. I like to tell my gymnasts, it's like if you're driving in a car and then all of a sudden someone just slams on the brake. That's kind of the feeling. It's like face the dashboard feeling of like, what just happened? Why can't I go for my skill? What's going on? And that's a really important thing to know. It's not that your gymnast can't do this skill anymore. She certainly can. Her body knows what to do. She's learned the skill. She's done it many times. It's that her brain is stopping her. This is an important distinction, and it makes the process of working through a mental block different than if you were to think that she can't do the skill anymore. So let's talk about some myths that I hear kind of floating around that I want to bust today so that we're not holding on to these myths and making things harder for our gymnast. So the first myth that I hear a lot of is that my gymnast is choosing not to do her skill. It doesn't only come from parents, it comes from coaches too. You might feel like the gymnast is all of a sudden just not doing it, whether it's for attention, whether they don't feel like it, whatever the reason is. I want to make it really clear. A mental block is not a choice. The gymnast didn't decide one day in the gym, hey, I don't feel like doing round of back handspring today. Not a choice. It's as startling and abrupt to her as it is to you when you witness her not doing it. She's confused. She doesn't know what's happening. She is not doing her skill, and that is strange and confusing, and she doesn't know what to do. This is not a choice. It is a biological response. Her brain is going into danger mode and causing her brain to put the brakes on her body skill. The reason this is important is because a lot of parents will try to bribe their gymnast into doing the skill again. Oh, if you do your skill, I'll get you that lipstick from Sephora that you've been wanting. Oh, if you competed in competition this weekend, we'll get a dog. Parents have tried, some crazy things to kind of get their gymnast to go for the skill, but you have to understand that when you do that, you're actually setting your gymnast up for more failure, because this is not a choice. Her brain is in charge. Her brain's got the steering wheel and is deciding when to put the brakes on. She's not in control anymore. Just realize that a mental block is not a choice. Plus, can you imagine any gymnast wanting to go into the gym and just not do her skills? It's embarrassing. It's hard to work through. She feels isolated, singled out. Like, it is not a good feeling to have a mental block. So no gymnast chooses this route. Second myth I hear a lot of is my gymnast lost her skill. She has to relearn it. Skill is gone. She completely lost it. She was doing her back handspring and now it's gone. Good news here is that her skill is never gone. Like I said earlier, mental block is when her brain freezes her up, decides to put the brakes on, causing her to stop. It doesn't mean her skill is gone. It means her brain is in charge and telling her not to do the skill. Good news with this is that journey through a mental block can be really quick. Oftentimes it takes a while because of all these myths floating around, or your gymnast not getting the proper help that she needs. But it's not a skill issue. Your gymnast can do the skill. So even though one of the popular methods of getting through a mental block is to go back to baby steps, break the skill down, I want you all to know, and gymnasts, if you're listening, I want you to know this too. The reason you do that is not because you have to relearn the skill. It's because you've got to fill your trust tank for your brain. You've got to build that trust back up. So you're doing those baby steps for your brain, not for your body. Sometimes what happens is your gymnast will go to a meet, won't be doing the skill all week in practice. She'll go to a meet and she'll do the skill. It's not a skill issue, right? The skill is there. What happens at a competition is the adrenaline, the nerves, the excitement, all of that overpower this freeze response, and brain lets her go for her skill. So that's what can happen there. And that's why when she'll get back to the gym, after the competition, usually she can't do her skill again because that adrenaline is gone now. That's not a long-term solution, but I wanted to point that out because that can be a really confusing piece of this. But the point is that her skill isn't gone. She doesn't have to relearn it. It's in her body. She just needs her brain to send the signal of it's okay. Let's go for it. And another myth I hear a lot of, the third myth I'm going to tell you about, is that my gymnast isn't trying hard enough or she isn't motivated. I hear the not motivated part a lot from coaches. Isn't trying hard enough. Parents might think that, coaches might think that too. She's not trying hard enough. She doesn't really want it. She kind of gave up. Really try. She goes in the gym, looks disinterested. She looks like she's barely trying. She stands there forever and does nothing. She avoids taking her turn. She watches all the other gymnasts. She's not doing anything. Okay, I want to make this really clear. I was a gymnast who had mental blocks. When you have a mental block and you show up in that gym day after day, you are working so hard. You don't see it in the physical sense, but the mental side of it is overwhelming. There is so much mental work that is happening. There's so much stuff going on in her mind. She is trying to overpower this biological response from her brain. She's trying to overpower it every single time she tries to do that skill. And that is a lot of work. It's exhausting. So even though you don't see her physically doing the skill, it does not mean she is not trying. If there's any coaches listening, I want them to hear this because it is so important, because coaches have such an influence on mental blocks as well. But even parents, if it looks like she's just standing there, it's not because she isn't trying. She's trying really hard mentally. Her brain just won't let her body go. That work, that mental work, is exhausting. It's also not that she's not motivated. She's definitely motivated. If she keeps showing up in the gym day after day, she's motivated. She wants to do gymnastics. We're talking about gymnasts who love this sport. They love to learn skills and do skills, and some of them love to compete, and this is their passion. This is their life. Of course, they're motivated. That's why they keep showing up. They're just stuck. They don't know what to do, and their brain is so strong with this freeze response that they feel they have no options. They're not sure how to approach this. Please don't ever, ever, ever assume that a gymnast is not trying hard enough, that your gymnast gave up or doesn't care or is just like, whatever. That isn't the case. Trust me. I know from personal experience, but also from working with all of the gymnasts that I've worked with who have mental blocks. Okay, so those are the three myths, and I wanted to make those clear so that you can kind of go into this mental block having a better understanding of what's going on and what is not going on. That'll help you help your gymnast. But the bottom line here is, if you have watched this video, you've heard these myths, maybe you've thought some of these things, gymnast needs help. She needs help from a professional who knows what she's doing. I'm one here who's worked with hundreds of gymnasts through this. Your gymnast needs help. Don't wait on this. Don't assume it'll pass. Even if you've had a gymnast, and especially if you've had a gymnast who maybe has had mental blocks in the past, but kind of has them for a week and then works through it and then has them again and works through it. Those gymnasts especially need the proper tools to work through this permanently. Otherwise, it becomes bigger and bigger, and it's something that she's going to struggle with. It's going to decrease her confidence over time. And so we don't want those gymnasts to kind of just figure it out. But if your gymnast is going through this, the best thing you can do is get her the help as soon as possible. I offer a 3-session mental block jumpstart package, which is great for giving your gymnast the tools she needs. It comes with 3 chapters of a PDF that she will take with her, fill in, have, that she can reference back to. You can read that too, that she's got the tools to work through this. The best thing you can do as her parent is be there as her support system, but do not assume any of these myths, and do not assume that your gymnast doesn't want this, because she does. Nothing worse than not being able to do a skill that you know you can do, that your body isn't letting you do. Definitely get your gymnast the support she needs, but also educate yourself as much as you can as to what a mental block is, so that you understand it, and sometimes might even have to communicate that understanding to coaches who don't usually understand what's going on with the mental block. All right, I've linked a video here that I think would also be really helpful. So when you're done, go click on this video and watch that. Absorb all the information you can and come back to my channel often for more tips and help with getting your gymnast through her mental block.